Right, let's get cracking. Coming up, it's another Loco repair challenge. All these engines have been broken, mistreated, or literally just left to rot. I'm going to try and fix them up so that these forgotten models can be enjoyed once again. But there is a catch. Each repair job has a time limit, and this is decided by the time-o-matic machine. If the time runs out before the repairs are complete, then the engine will go to the evil scrapman.
I am the scrapman.
This season, the engines are in worse condition than ever before, and the time limits are tighter than ever before, so this time my skills will truly be put to the test. Welcome to Salvage or Scrap. Let's take a look at this season's remaining exhausted engines, dodgy diesels, and splintered steam trains. Today's engine is a 1991 Bachmann branchline class 03 Shunter, which I purchased for £28. This one seems as though it's seen better days, so let's take a closer look. Well, this certainly has seen better days. I'm not entirely sure whether this is dirty or whether someone's just tried to weather it, but I'm going to say probably a bit of both. There's definitely some nasty damage to the front buffers. Not sure whether I'll have time to fix this or not, depends on the time limit I get, I suppose. And it's also missing its coupling hooks. Again, I'll have to see if I've got any spares. Otherwise though, it doesn't look too bad cosmetically. Most of the detail seems to be there, and I think with a bit of a clean, this could be spruced up quite nicely. Being from 1991, this will almost certainly be a split chassis Loco, and I really don't like those things. So with very limited expectation for success, let's give this a test. Okay, so I think for all intents and purposes I can pronounce this dead. It is trying to move, and when I put my hands on the body I can feel a motor vibration in there, and the wheels are trying to turn. It looks like it's doing quite a nice crawl actually, except we're turned up to 70% power here. So not completely dead, but also not running normally either. Lots of work to do here, I think. So this challenge is going to be very time dependent. If I get longer for this one, then there might be time to look at the cosmetics as well as the mechanism. I might be able to drill out those old buffers and put some new ones in. However, if it's a tighter one, if I've got 20 minutes or less, let's say, then I'm not going to want to faff about with the cosmetics, because if I do, and then I don't have time to fix up the mechanism, then I'll fail the challenge and it'll go to the scrap man. So let's find out how long I've got for this challenge. Time-o-matic, if you will. 18 minutes. Right, well, I guess that decides it then. My plan has to be to get this Loco running as quickly as possible. So I'm probably going to have to ignore the cosmetic side of this Loco. I might try and give the body a wash, but that will probably be all. I'm really going to have to crack into that mechanism, find out what's wrong, fix it, get it back together, all in 18 minutes. I think this one could be pretty tight. Please wish me luck. Let's get started. The rules are that I'm not allowed to go shopping for any replacement parts. I can use parts that I already have in my own stores, or I can 3D print brand new ones, but anything made this way must be printed within the time limit. Crikey, I tell you what, 18 minutes is not a long time to just take a Loco apart and put it back together again. I've got to do that and clean and troubleshoot it. Is this possible? I don't know, but time-o-matic, I'm ready to find out. 18 minutes please, in 3, 2, 1, start. My first job is to remove the body so that I can clean it, but I don't have much time, so I have to be fast. Maybe that's unnecessary, well maybe it is, but I'm going to try it anyway. I have got some new couplings for this. I don't know if they will fit, but I'm going to try and put those on so that this has got some coupling hooks. Let's pull the body out. Okay, chassis, worry about that in a second. Let's go and clean the body. This is going to have to be a quick one. A little bit of soap on the brush. Let's just very gently scrub this clean. There's a bit more detail on this body than on previous projects, so I have no choice but to slow down a little bit. Right, I think that'll have to do. Haven't got time to do any more than that. Shake it. Let's dab it dry. Hopefully then, when that has chance to dry, that will look a little bit cleaner. I'm going to put my heater on. Right, let's have a look at the mechanism then. First of all, can I get these couplings off? And will the ones I've got to replace them fit? The answer is no. I thought these replacement couplings would be the same ones, but sadly they aren't. So I'll have to make do with the original ones. Next question, have the axles failed? You know what? I don't think they have. These split chassis Locos are notorious for having axle failures. These have not failed, the axles are just absolutely filthy, so I'm going to clean them up. This is a split chassis locomotive, which means it picks up power via the locomotive axles. In order for this to work effectively, the axles have to be spotlessly clean. That doesn't explain why it was so slow to run though, so I'm going to have to try and lubricate parts of this mechanism so that it runs a bit more freely, and for that I might have to open up the split chassis, which is a horrible, horrible idea, but I'm thinking it might be necessary. Just try and clean off this gunge, because look how filthy these cotton buds are coming off. Again, it amazes me how filthy the insides of Locos can become. Fair enough the bodywork and the outside if they're left in places where there's dirt and dust, but how do they get so bad inside? I don't know. But I'm going to have to very, very quickly undo years and years of neglect. The bearings on the chassis also have to be cleaned for the same reason, and again, the amount of gunk I'm removing from this tiny Loco is unbelievable. So, let's try and remove these screws that are holding these counterweights. Alright, keep those safe. Let's try and clean as much of this chassis as possible. I have literally 13 minutes to do this. Okay, but yeah, there is dirt coming off, which is great. Now, I really want to get access to the motor and the gears for cleaning, and to do this, I have to take the entire chassis apart. Okay, so 3 screws. Let's have a look what's inside this chassis, shall we? I am curious, but I haven't got long to ponder it, so let's see. By removing the 3 screws on the side of the chassis, I should be able to split the entire thing in 2. God, look at all that lubricant. Oh, it's all hardened, it's solid. That's probably the cause of the problem. Look at it. Oh my God, it's rock hard. Look, that's lubricant. The 30-year-old factory lubricant has hardened, which means that instead of lubricating the mechanism, it's jamming it up instead. The good news is that I've now found a problem that I can solve. The bad news is, this old lubricant is everywhere. Oh, this is really getting messy. This is getting messy and it's getting gross. Yuck. That's looking good though. I think we're getting there. Can we take this motor out? Or the gear? The gear has not split or anything, that's good. I now find myself having taken the locomotive completely apart. It's in absolute pieces, which is a precarious position to be in with less than 15 minutes to go. I want to be reassembling this within 2 minutes, so I'm going to give myself 2 minutes to clean up the insides of this thing. This motor should come loose. Can I get it out? Yes. Alright, the motor's out, folks. I've removed the motor. Sounds like a very diabolical solution, but I'm really going for the thorough clean here because this solid rock hard lubricant is probably what's causing these issues. There's loads of it, absolutely loads. It's really vile as well, it's like green. Right, let's get it off the motor. Let's get all this oil and grease off the motor. That looks a little better. Let's get the gear cleaned. Clean your teeth. What do you always get told about cleaning your teeth? Well, this Loco's finding out today. Once over with the toothbrush, and I think it's basically time to start reassembling this thing. So I need to find all of the bits that I've accidentally pulled out, and these would be the little plastic spacers here. These white plastic spacers are what hold the 2 halves of the chassis in place, so it's safe to say they're pretty important. But one of them seems to be missing. There should be another one somewhere. Where is it? Should be a little white spacer. Oh no, what have I done with it? Well, let's find it in a second. Let me put the motor back together first. Let's put some lubricant on it first, actually. Just a little bit. Okay, motor goes in like that, hopefully. Okay, yeah, that's the motor in. With the motor back in position, it's time to replace the gears and add some fresh lubricant. Okay, now, where is that other plastic spacer? Did I drop it on the ground? No, I don't think I did, so it's here someplace. It looks as though the spacer might have been missing to begin with, so I'm going to have to try and make do without it. Hopefully, this was not the cause of the Loco's failure. I think it might work without it, so let's try that. Let's see. Let's see if I can put this together without that piece. Yeah, I'm thinking I should be able to. Oh, that's not very good. Obviously, losing parts is not a great idea when you're reassembling a Loco, but obviously extenuating circumstances in this case because I am rushing quite a bit. I'm probably going to find the missing part at some point and be rather cross about it, but again, not a lot I can really do about that at this point other than just assemble this as quickly as possible. Oop, that's not gone together too well. With one of the spacers missing, I'm having trouble getting the two halves of the chassis to sandwich together properly. So very quickly, I'm opening it back up to try and get all of those pieces to sit straight. I've got 8 minutes. That doesn't seem like very long, does it? There we go. That's together a bit better. Okay. It's good news. The two halves of the chassis are finally sitting squarely, so now I can tighten up the screws. Right, if I put some power on, does this work? Yes. The motor seems to be running. It's quite slow, but it is running, so that's the main thing. Okay, so I've got my two screws. Let's grab some lubricant. I'm using a conductive lubricant this time, which should help the axles pass the electricity into the chassis. Now I've just got to get those annoying little screws back in place, which is tricky. I've got 7 minutes left. Okay, I think that could be doable then. I'm very, very lucky that the split chassis axles haven't failed, because that can happen quite often with these. One of them did have a crack in it, but it was still holding for the time being, so I'm thinking that will be okay. Counterweights are back in position, that's good. Let's try and get the base keeper plate back on. With the base in place, the mechanism should now be complete, so it's time for a fully assembled test. Alright. Oh my gosh. Yeah, did you see that? It just really came to life all of a sudden. That's great. So, I can see that there's quite a lot of mess on these wheels, so the wheel cleaning is going to be very important, I think. So, let's do that. Let's get it going again. Oh, whoa. God, it sounds like an F1 car, what the heck? I thought this was going to be a really slow runner when I first saw it run. Now it's really picked up the pace. Great. Well, it's none the worse the wear for having one of those spacers missed out of it. I have no idea for the life of me where that went. Before I put the body back on, I want to verify that the wheels are actually picking up power. So let's do that. Let's slow it down just so I'm not giving the motor too much of a shock. And yes, they are picking up power, which is good. With the Loco running well and the wheels cleaned, I'm able to retrieve the body and finish reassembling the shunter. Wow, this body looks so much better than it did. It might have had some weathering on it, but it looks a lot cleaner now. Right, let's get this reassembled, I think. Very good. Let's screw that coupling back in position. Okay, so it still doesn't have coupling hooks, but as long as whatever rolling stock couples up to this does, then it should be okay. Is it still working now that the body's on? Always check. Yeah, it is still working, and there's some more of that pus. Alright, that's gross. Okay, Time-O-Matic, I think I am done with this. Please stop the clock. And there we had 3 minutes and 53 seconds remaining. Yeah, that was a tight one. I'm amazed that I was able to do this in such a short space of time. But the Loco is complete again, it's back together, and as far as I'm aware, it is fully working. So let's take it back to the workshop and check. Okay, the Bachmann 03 Shunter is back in the workshop after 14 minutes and 7 seconds of repairs. I'm about to make the final inspection, but first here's a reminder of how the Loco looked to begin with. And it wasn't too bad really. It did look pretty dirty / weathered, and it was also missing its front buffers and coupling hooks, although sadly there wasn't enough time to fix any of this. Having said that, the performance was pretty poor. The Loco was barely able to run at all. And here is the final result. Nothing much has changed cosmetically, although because I washed the body, I think maybe it looks a little bit better now, if anything. Okay, so things are looking a little bit better cosmetically, but I have even higher hopes for the performance. So let's initiate the final test. Okay, it started, and look at this. In front of our very eyes, it is coming to life, getting faster and faster. So I would say that is miles better than it was originally. Before, the wheels were hardly able to turn, and now they are really going for it. In fact, if I turn this up, you can see how quick this can go. Yeah, it can really go for it. Does it work in reverse now as well? Let's see. Oh yeah, it does. There it goes. I think the motor sounds a little bit unhappy, but it is working, and that's the main thing. So the 03 Shunter is finally back in working order. That is a fantastic result. I can now officially pronounce the 03 Shunter salvaged and safe from the evil Scrapman. Let's add it to this season's leaderboard, and yet again it has beaten the rest. In fact, that's a new record with 14 minutes and 7 seconds. Of course, top place. And this Loco is now fit to return to the rails, and there it goes. If you'd like a chance to own this very locomotive, then bids are now currently open on eBay, and if you'd like to place a bid, the link is in the description for you. For now though, that is job done. I'll see you next time on Salvage or Scrap.